What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful, here with a name you know. How could you not know him?
Hey.
I
don't know. I guess I've been doing something right.
You've been doing quite a few things right. We got Swerve Strickland here. You just saw him in a world title match at AEW Revolution. You saw him have one of the greatest matches that you're ever going to see last year with Hangman Page. How you doing, man?
I'm doing swell. Staying on the grind. Busy as hell. Maybe it was can't remember if it was last week or it was 2 weeks ago. It's been I went from going to New York, performing with Eric Bellinger with Flash Garments on stage with him, to flying to LA to finish filming my last pickup scenes for a horror movie, Stiletto, coming out this year. Shout out Sam Gonzalez and Matt Hirsch directing that, and Gigi. And then coming to Alabama to do TV. So,
incredible.
So all that in a 3-day span until now I'll be here in Lexington, Kentucky, at the Lexicon.
Lexington at the Lexington Comic and Toy Con.
Yeah.
Man, we talked about this before, but there's got to be this incredible sense of pride when a song, considering you're a musician, a song that you perform is just so unanimously beloved in wrestling now.
Yeah. It takes a while for a song to really catch and then to kind of break, So it took a year, in a sense, of just playing it over and over again, getting people attached to it. But it was okay, my character was going in a different direction, so honestly, I had to just shift into changing it up, changing the guitars, the BPMs of it, slowing it down, getting the tempo, and all these things they changed and then it got a little slower. So now a lot more people kind of could go along to the beat a little more. And then Nana coming in that in the dance just took it to a viral level of having a visual. I always think music having a visual to it always takes it Michael Jackson music videos. Adding a visual to it takes the record way even higher. So that's kind of what happened with Big Pressure, I would say.
What's the process of deciding to add the Who's House at the start of it and then the individual entrances? There was a whole dance team out there with Nana this past, and it was such a fantastic contrast to what you brought. And what I love about it is there's never dissension with you and Prince Nana. You know what he's about, you know what he brings to the table, and you bring something completely different. And it is such a wonderful approach.
I always feel having contrast in anything is what makes teams a team, and you know what I mean? Shaq is so opposite of Kobe. They don't play exactly alike, and that's what makes them successful. Breaking Bad, Jesse is so opposite of Walter. Yeah. That's what makes them a great dynamic, and that's when they need each other. But at the same sense, they're just two opposite characters. It's literally chemistry.
Yeah,
and
it is.
That's the point of it, So it's taking those kind of elements of seeing two acts that individually you love, but they're two completely different things, and putting them together and oh man, let's see how this works. Seeing me and Hangman were two completely different types of people, and then as we kept going, we are seeing so many more similarities between us. We all want the same things. We're just going about it different ways, and we're all willing to go about them different type of methods of getting what we want. And then it became personal, oh my God, I am more like you than I thought, and so it's just so going back to me and Nana, it's just using the opposites to make us compatible in a sense. And I would say with the dancers and all that, it's just it'd be great to have for Nana, since it's already taken off, a dance quartet with more women, add women to it. There's okay, and then sure enough, we just throw that on there, and then next thing you know, it's and now the women are in the freaking intro of the show and stuff.
They were there for the whole show. They stayed for Sting's presser.
Oh yeah,
I saw them there. It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was incredible. So another series of opposites that have certainly created great chemistry is yourself and Hangman.
Yes,
This has been I don't want to say a career-defining feud, because I don't know that your career will be defined by it necessarily, but it certainly
definitely helped, for the time. Definitely for the time being.
Defined AEW programming, and we have seen Hangman become so much of what we initially saw in you on screen as well. What, like, when you were pitched the idea of working with Hangman, did immediate, like, ideas just flow through your brain? Is he something you had even had on your radar as far as working with in the past?
I honestly didn't know where we were going to start. What was the baseline? And like a friend of like Will Washington came up with the idea of like, hey, we don't know where you're going following Wembley, but I have an idea of what I want to do with Swerve, and I think you two right now, we need to get Hangman back into singles for one, because he was doing the 6-man stuff and trios. Like, we need to get you back into singles, and you need a counterpart. And this is I always consider, like we all do, consider Hangman, he's the main character of AEW. And so it's like, okay, we need to put him in a turmoil.
Yes.
And the elements that I have brewing in my head of like all these ideas I can really do to like just manipulate that and touch on that and play with that is like, oh yeah, Hangman's I can use a lot of elements because he was so pure. And to me, it was just like having pure water and then just adding in like iodine in it. It's just the whole thing is starting to turn like and slowly just take over the entire glass of water, and that's what I wanted. And to me, that's how characters are truly defined. What elements of another character is going to alter the show? What it alters a character, a main character, and like it kind of like shifts the mood and the tempo and the theme. Like, so now my music, when it's coming out, it's a positive thing, but there's dark elements coming behind it. You know what I mean? So you like Nana's. It's like it's luring you in to a false sense of like security. Like, oh, Nana's here. Oh God, wait. Oh, then there's this other guy coming behind you that's just trespassing and going into Nick Wayne's wrestling school and going into like Hangman's house. That was the point of those things. It's like, I'm like, it's like a candy-coated painting of things, And then like Hangman is just like the elements of like, I'm dragging you down to hell. We'll see who comes out at the end of it. And it seems like we both came out, but somebody came out differently.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Way differently.
Yeah. So I came out of it like, oh man, like I don't think I think this evil, this resentment I'm holding in me is like holding me back from achieving my goals. Because like if you notice, like when I started doing that, the international title, I had it, lost it. The Continental Classic, I had it, I lost it. The TNT title opportunity, I had it and I lost it. The AEW World title, I had it and I lost it. Now I was like, is this evil worth it? Is being that way?
You exercise the demon.
Right. So now I got to like, now I'm kind of understanding. I was like, am I worth it? Like, now, which goes back to the promo I cut this past week on TV, is like, am I supposed to play this role of just being the guy that gets close enough but can't get it done? Or like, man, like maybe this is karma from all the bad that I was doing, all the bad, evil. Maybe it is like it's got me to there, but something more is going to have to get me over the hump, Watching
you in real time, like sort of reckon with the fact that you did all these things in this character, and the crowd just loves you. Yeah. They're telling you it's your house when you literally broke into another person's house. Like, was that something that you expected? Did you expect them to be like, hell yeah, this is maybe the anti-hero we need, or maybe not even an anti-hero, just the guy they need?
They see a guy that, like I said, I go back to Demolition Man and Wesley Snipes concepts all the time. They're seeing a guy that's been underground for so long, and we know how he needs to eat. We know he's starving, and he's just coming up on surface. And if you're the rich watching this underground dweller come up to steal his food, you just look at him as like, this is the thief.
Yes.
Oh my God, this is like, this is a really evil person. Like what are you doing? You're stealing from us. We earned this. But you don't deserve this. You're just looking at them as a criminal and a wrongdoer. But if you like really follow their story and watch how and why they're under the ground and why they're coming up to like try to take from the rich so they can eat and they can like provide and they can do these things. Because if you go back to Hangman dressing me down right before Texas Death Match, he was telling me, is like, Like, that's why your wife left you. That's why your kids don't talk to you. That you're a child. You don't deserve these things. I'm like, well, that's why I'm trying to get to where you are. So I can have those things. I want what you have. Hangman, you have the house. I've been in your house. You have a lovely family. You have your wife. I want that. So, but the only way for me to get that is to get to where you're at. And the only way I know how to do it is to steal from you, the people in the above, from the people from below. So there's a lot of like, also, it's almost like the movie Parasite.
Yes.
It's like the people below want to get what the people above have. The only way they know how to do it, they have to exercise their skills, which is thieving and stealing and like conning and taking advantage of things to be just up there with them. You know, and I'm trying, that's what my character is. And I think the people are seeing that. We're like, this guy works hard. He's talented. He's good. Yeah, we want to see him succeed now.
What I loved was that it wasn't just the personality change that we saw in Hangman as a result of these promos. His physical transformation was seen. He had there was a mention of him not having new gear in like a year. Well, he's got new gear, new bedazzled rose gear now as well. All that stuff, like everything mentioned, adjusted for him. It's like somebody knocked on his door. Didn't knock on his door. They beat down his door, walked through his door and said, you need to change up all this. That match that you guys had was fucking insane.
Yes.
It was one of the most beautifully horrifying things that I've ever witnessed. And I've mentioned this to you. I don't like that kind of wrestling, and I adored that match. It was one of the greatest matches I've ever seen.
Thank you.
One of the greatest stories that I've seen told. Like, how do I even begin to ask you about that? Like,
oh man, like
you had to know that this was going to be something that was going to possibly change your life forever as you're laying it out.
At the time, all you're trying to do is just make sure that certain points of the match are laid out that people understand it. I wanted to just make sure like it reads properly to the audience, live and people watching at home. I want to make sure that they understand the motive of why we are doing what we are doing. You don't want to just see two guys just bludgeoning each other with objects because anybody can do that. You can get anybody, like without a feud, without a rivalry, you can get two guys in there to do that. I wanted to make sure all the weaponry just made sense for why we were doing this. Like the staples got pulled out. He wasn't trying to beat me. Hangman wasn't trying to beat me for the first while. He was just trying to hurt me. He was trying to hurt me. He wasn't trying to like get this match over with. No, he wants this to go a while because he wants to pay back all those things that I was doing, and he has the freedom to do it. I can't run. I can't go anywhere. So he has me. Then the staples was to also signify the picture, this child's picture that I ripped off the refrigerator when I came in. He wanted to put it back on my face. It's like, you know, like, and then he was just so infuriated and with rage that he's going as far as to like drink my blood and spit it out in the air because he wants a part of me. He wants me to like, you're not going to forget this. It's almost violating another man in a sense. I violated his home. He's violating me. You know?
I was going to ask you, what was your reaction as you're bleeding and he slides right underneath you and he's like,
I was like, this is a lot of blood. Like, this is an awful lot of blood. That's all I was really thinking about.
Oh my God.
And like, it's just like, this is a whole lot of blood. And I still have to like run and move and like fight, and hopefully I can see, because I could barely even see because it was just so much, and I never bled that much in my life. You know,
was that a concern for you or anything? Were you even for a moment like
for a little bit? And it's easy to like go into shock and like go like have anxiety because it, like humans you're not supposed to witness your blood like leaving your body so much.
Designed to be on the inside.
It's not supposed to fountain out, you know. But like I was just like, okay, stay calm. You're okay. Your breathing's good. You're not hyperventilating, and you're not getting lightheaded. You're good. And then I go outside, then pile driver on this barricade. And I was like, okay, it's still going. It's still going. It's still going. It won't stop going. So like water bottle, and then it's like, okay, that like coagulated a little bit, so now the blood just became sticky. But like my wristbands were full white, and then by the end of the match, it was just like red on
man.
each side. They're like red gauntlets. It was just because I just kept wiping my face. It was so bad. It got to a point where I just like fell down on the mat, and I just like wiped my face on the mat because there was nothing else to wipe my face off of.
Oh.
It was a horrific, beautiful masterpiece. I was like, and like the ending of all these elements of like, Brian Cage, like just to remind the people like, hey, I'm still a bad guy and I still want to take the underhanded way. I don't want to just, like I need help.
Yeah.
Help me. Somebody help me.
I know you all were supposed to do a little bit more, and then it was like that was sort of taken off the table because how can you top that?
You can't, man. I'm like, you got to keep these guys away from each other for a while.
And then you all had the triple threat, which I thought made an incredible amount of sense. We now know Hangman is suspended from the Elite, so he's going to be off for a while.
Yeah.
He ends up losing that match, and I feel like it accomplishes so many wonderful things in this story.
Yeah.
He did exactly what he said he was going to do to you. Even though he didn't win, you didn't win, and that was the most important thing to him, was that you didn't get the thing that you were after that he had. The thing that you said to him, I want what's yours.
And it's also a distraction because I want to beat him. Mm-hmm. So it distracted me from Joe. So, like, could I beat Joe? We don't know. We still don't know that. Did I ever have Joe beat? Like, we don't know. But I had Hangman beat. Again, I know it was like it was the devil you know and the devil you don't know.
Yeah.
That's my cross. I know I can beat Hangman, so why wouldn't I go for Hangman, a guy that I've beaten twice already, almost
who
third
has
time.
never beaten you.
Who has
just
never
beaten
me.
you.
So of course I'm going to go for that guy. But he's also distracting because like you can't leave your back turned to Samoa Joe, which is what happened in the finish of that match.
Set up a great scenario for you and Joe in the future, which I'm excited for.
Yeah.
You mentioned Will Washington's name. Now I'll ask you because he doesn't like being the story.
No, he doesn't.
And
I'll do it for him.
And contractually, he's not allowed to tell me anything because he used to work with us.
Yeah.
Wise move, Tony. But how has that been? I mean, some people know he's family to you.
Yeah.
And obviously, he's known you. He knows like the real you. He knows the character. He knows everything.
He the best thing about it, he knows my capabilities too. So he can put stuff together that he knows that I can. He's like, no, Swerve is capable of this. Give him that. And to go in a room and just like to be like, this is what we have, and then like I at this point I have a good relationship with Tony Khan enough to he knows where my abilities lie and stuff. But like you want to like make sure you reassure him, and you want to reassure the other talent that like, this guy's capable of this. He can do this. He's willing to do this, and I don't have to go in there and show face all the time to defend that, because it's like I want to be like, I need to just focus on my work, and my job, and my body, and my like this. You know what I mean? And so I don't have to go in there and do that. Like Will sticks up for me and as a talent to reassure that yes, he's comfortable with this, and yes, he can go above and beyond and deliver this. What you're asking for as a promoter, as a booker, as a boss, he is capable of this and he wants to do this. So that helps so much. But at the same time, I got to still go out there and perform. It's one thing to just be like, some people can say like, oh, they're getting these opportunities because so-and-so, speaking of so-and-so. Everybody has, like, in all walks of every type of profession, whether it be pro wrestling, media, sports, whatever, there's always somebody in the room talking for said talent. Anywhere you go. In the NBA, there's somebody talking to the owner about the talent to reassure that this guy is the guy that we need to put on the banner, on the wall, on the side of a bus in the city, on a shaving commercial or anything like that.
The draft day Bo Callahan thing.
It's like, I'm like, so don't try to misconstrue like, oh, this is pro wrestling politic or anything like that. No, this is business politic. It happens everywhere. But guess what? Dak Prescott can be in whatever sleep commercial, a mattress commercial. He still has to go out there and throw touchdowns and get the teams to the playoffs. That's why these guys get these positions. And like I said, I go on any platform anywhere, I'll say I want to be the Pat Mahomes of AEW. Hence, Dynasty is coming up. That's what I want to be, the Dynasty player. I want to be the guy as the quarterback. Throw me in, I'll throw a touchdown, And like now we're adding like an Okada in there, an Ospreay coming in. Like, yeah, I want these are the teammates I want to have on the field with me. You know what I mean? These are guys I want to build a dynasty with. You know, like, you know, that's the team. So it's not like me being the top, being the individual's talent. No, I want my team with me. I just want to quarterback that team. Right now, Joe's playing quarterback, you know, but like I'm coming up close to like, hey, I'm Willie Beeman, bro.
I love it. So you mentioned Will Ospreay, one of the most fantasy booked matches for All In this year. Everybody's already talking about the possibility of Swerve and Ospreay. How does that feel to have that? Will Ospreay, widely considered one of the best in the world. You're widely considered one of the best in the world. But specifically, a show like that carries so much weight, as you know.
It does.
And the responsibility of ticket sales and all that. And people are like, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go with them.
That's a huge honor for me. Like, coming from where I was like 2 years ago, like being let go, and a lot of people like, who is this guy? Whoever was familiar with me in NXT or not, or even familiar with my career on the independents. It's coming from there to being like, yes, we want this guy as the champion and main event of Wembley against this guy who is like widely regarded as like the best of this generation, period. And I will agree with him. Like, Will Ospreay is like inhuman in my eyes. He's been a video game character since I've been wrestling him since he was 18 years old, and I knew it then. That's a huge honor, and I truly appreciate that. And that's like a huge like. I don't take that kind of stuff lightly. I'm like, oh, that's a lot. That's a big responsibility for me to even like be considered in that plane.
Yeah.
Because not that long ago, I was not even nowhere in the conversation. You know, I think that shows like the future of what pro wrestling really is, and the present actually, as a matter of fact. And we're still in young prime ages. We haven't even hit our prime yet.
Yeah.
And you know, like to share that with Will, who's like been like a little brother to me for the longest time, for many years. You know, that would be a huge honor. I'd have to pack a lunch and a dinner plate to get in the ring with that man at this point right now. But yeah, I think I can do it. I think we could both do it. I think it's also something people can look at and be like, wow, there's been this discussion about like diversity in the company and in pro wrestling period all around. Like, no, every company is like to have like an African American man stand in the middle of that as a main event as champion I think that's huge, and I think that's like my spot in history as well.
Oh yeah, I mean you've spoken that, and everybody when you said that, everybody said, yeah, seems like the guy. Seems like the guy. Another thing I'm sure was a huge honor, especially 1 week removed from it. You worked with Sting a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot. How was that? Obviously, it's at some point it's something that you never thought was going to happen because we never knew the guy was going to be in wrestling again.
No.
And the way I always said in my reviews was I will never take getting to see him perform for granted. No, ever.
Same.
How was that, and do you have any unique experiences or memories with him?
The funniest thing was like when I did DJ Who Kid earlier, 2023. I mentioned he asked me, he was like, who's someone you want to get in the ring with? And I said Sting. He was like, word. He's like, he was like, what? For real? He's like, do you think that can happen? I'm like, I'm sure it probably could happen. Little did I know it was going to happen at 80,000 people with DJ Who Kid walking me out to the ring. So like, it's funny how like the universe works in that way. That was crazy. Just the fact of like being in the same presence with these guys, like these aren't people I'm just like looking up to. These aren't just guys I'm like, oh man, I'm happy to see, like to meet you. No, I'm across from you. I'm your equal. I'm your like not necessarily equal as far as like in ring like legacy, but we are working together, and I got to work against you, and I got to fight you. I got to battle this man in a coffin match, you know.
It's incredible.
And in Wembley, man.
I mean, what's your reaction when you're told, hey, it's going to be you and Sting working in a match at Wembley?
Man, it's still surreal in a lot of sense. Still very unreal, like to me. Like the photo of me doing the 450
Yes.
like about to crash onto him is like one of my favorite photos I've ever taken, and like ever. And just to see the background, just to see so much symbolism that's going on in there. It's like, and then to have like one of my best friends, Darby, across from me as well. I get to share that moment with him. Like we were like not that long ago, like sharing hotel rooms and Evolve or watching like wrestling with Sammy Callahan on his couch in Florida and not knowing where we were going to go in our careers. So just to see like, hey, two Seattle guys, two Washington guys sharing this moment together with Sting, and then I'm tagging with Christian, who like one of my favorite wrestlers of all time is Edge or Adam Copeland, and we're doing double spears to these guys. So I was like, that was my big mark out moment right there. It's just like, man, like that was the moment I'm like, I had to sit and like, I'm gonna enjoy this moment, and then get back to work. So we gotta do the match. But yeah, it is unreal. It's still surreal to me to a lot of like moments. But like, I'm like I gotta get back to here. I gotta get back here somehow in a different way.
Last one. So I mean, this is widely considered like your breakout year.
Yeah.
But this is not new to you. You've been doing this a long time. Watched you in Lucha Underground, in MLW, in NXT, and Evolve, like you mentioned. You've been doing TV wrestling for a long time. And it feels like almost, I mean, very, very early on. I mean, I remember seeing you in MLW, and everybody who watched MLW, they're like, oh, well, it's pretty clearly he's going to be one of the top guys in NXT. Plenty of people saw it on the main roster. Even people watching the show saw it. Now you're in a place where you say, I want to be the first black AEW world champion, and everybody goes, yes, that's him. There's no real doubt about that. Like everybody looks at it and they go, that's him. He's the guy to lead the company. Is that validating, or will it take you winning that to feel that validation?
I don't that to me, if like thinking about that, like calling it validation without having it is like me slowing up before I cross the finish line.
Sure.
I'm not like, I need to burst through, I need to run through the line and then still add in another 20 yards of just full on sprint, just to like, and that's how like my work ethic has always been. To even get to here, I had to like constantly just keep like, I have to overachieve. I have to exceed the expectations again. Like you said, like it was my breakout year. I'm like, I feel like I've had about 7 breakout moments in my career, like, so like they were saying that since Lucha Underground, MLW, NXT, when in North America, like, oh, this is the breakout year. I'm like, all right, cool. Then like, and it won the tag titles. So I'm like, oh, this is a breakout year. I'm like, all right, cool. And like, so it's always going to keep going because like, the bar is constantly just going to be raised, and like the expectations of me is always going to be like kind of moved side by side. Like people have been saying like on like, oh, cool, he had the tag titles. Now what? I'm like, you think that wasn't easy to get?
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty hard. Then they're like, okay, he's never had any singles titles. I'm like, okay, that's another like expectation I'm going to have to exceed. Or we see him here, we don't see him there. We see him here, we don't see him here. So I'm like, well, I see myself here, so none of that discussion even matters. It's just constantly always trying to figure out where do I take this and go with it. And then once I harness that and get that, I finally got it, what do I do with that now? Now I got to take that and invest it again. It's almost like stock markets. Like no matter what, how much money you make, you have to take that and reinvest it and to go even higher. And you're like, and too many people cash out early, then they're like, you could have had this.
I sold my Zoom stock in 2019.
Yep.
Right before the pandemic.
Yep.
I watched it go up, and I said, nope. Bad idea.
Yep. And that's how I feel like my career is. I'm like, if I cash out too early, I'm going to miss out on all this extra stuff that I could be. What all that exceeded expectations feel is like, I'm not going to exceed. I'm going to meet it, and then like, man, he was here, but he could have been here. And so that's why I'm never like just resting on that kind of stuff. I'm always trying to like take my wins, my every type of win, and just like take it, reinvest it, add it to something else, and then blow that up bigger. And then like now I'm taking that same energy and adding it to music, and I'm adding it to acting, and I'm adding it to my podcast. It's like because now I figured out how to make that work on a national scale. now let's try to use that here, and let's use that here. Let's bring in someone that knows how to do it over there, and let's bring in someone here that knows how to do that here.
Such a natural for a horror movie, by the way. Like,
yeah.
You understand the mannerisms and characteristics of that to be menacing on screen. I mean, I don't even know if that's specifically your role with this upcoming film, but still, like, I mean, it's very clear that you understand the horror culture as well.
I'm still learning it, I would say. There are little things I take and like add into like what I'm doing, and like when it's time to like feel menacing, but also like you also like, which I feel like Mick Foley's one of probably the best at this. He can make you feel, he can become off menacing and like just eerie, but he can also pull back and make you feel like sympathy. And also feel like so warming, and I'm like, oh my God, this poor man.
That's why so many of the horror movie, the antagonists have these sympathetic backstories.
Yeah.
And to me, the best horror movies aren't like supernatural or ghosts or zombies. It's things I believe could happen to me.
And that's kind of what I pulled from.
Yeah, I mean, you're breaking into people's houses.
Yeah, I'm like, it's like, oh man, like a man is standing over your child in a crib, and you can't do anything about it.
Nothing.
Like that's a real fear of a lot of fathers, a lot of men, a lot of mothers. You know, so like let's play with that emotion. You know, not too many people can relate to like a Pennywise like, dragging you under, like, you know, in a drainage and stuff like that.
Yes.
It's like, but people still look at drains a little differently.
Everybody looks at them differently.
Everybody looks at them differently, but you still know deep down, like, it's not going to happen. There's not going to be a clown with a balloon in there. But somebody looking outside your window with a camera is very real. Like, you know, like you playing around with your kids and your friends in a wrestling school, that some dude comes in and just like obliterates all of them, and you can't call for help. You can't, like, who's going to hear you? Who's going to see that? That's a real fear, and it's like playing with those things. Like, I took those elements from horror, actual horror, and putting it into wrestling, and I was like, okay, cool, now I got to figure out my wrestling things to put them into my horror, and like the character, the charisma, the sympathy, like the baby faceness.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, so I have a lot of tools to play with, but I'm also getting a lot of good assistance as well.
You're killing it right now. I want to thank you so much for being so generous with your time. You can check out Swerve every Wednesday on AEW Dynamite on TBS. Also AEW Collision every Saturday on TNT. And probably on top of the card at AEW Dynasty by the looks of it as well.
Hey, watch every week. Let's see where it unfolds, man. The story is really being told, and we got layers.
Swerve, I want to thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Until next time, guys, we're out. Buying pay-per-views on NordVPN.com/Fightful is going to enhance your pay-per-view buying process. Now, one subscription to NordVPN has so many different benefits, but if you're a big pay-per-view buyer like myself, UFC, boxing, pro wrestling, all that good stuff, any combination of the three, if they're doing a fight circus or something like that, this subscription will pay for itself after 1 or 2 pay-per-view buys. Change your virtual location, pay for it at the prices that other people are paying for it in the UK, in Australia, etc., etc. And you can get different interfaces. Maybe you don't like Peacock and you want to check out the WWE Network the way that it used to be, the way that it was designed to be, the easy navigation, so on and so forth. Maybe you want to watch AEW without commercials. Maybe there's some other overseas services that you can't subscribe to and you want access to them. NordVPN.com/Fightful gives you that with a great deal and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Even better, 24/7 tech support, so if you have trouble navigating any of it, they can help you out. Fastest VPN on the planet, NordVPN.com/Fightful.